Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Late Night Coding series. So, today we're going to build something fun and pretty exciting. We'll be making a real-time code collaboration platform. So, you can call it as a sort of a mini Replit. It's not exactly not the proper Replit clone, but yeah, we'll be implementing the core features of coding and collaboration placed together. And we won't be going all crazy advanced like Replit, including all the libraries and frameworks, because honestly, I don't know how to do it. And yeah, that's my skill issue. Anyways, we'll set up the core features that make coding and collaboration possible, which means multiple users can log in, enter the room, and type code, execute, run, and also maybe chat among themselves, and even execution of code in multiple languages. We'll try to achieve that. So, without wasting much time, let's get started with the project. And I hope that I don't end up with bugs and complete the full project and share it with you guys. So, let's get started. So, before going into the making of the project, I'd like to give you the architecture or the workflow of how the project is going to be made, how it's going to function, uh, what packages and tech stack I'm going to use, and yeah, that would be it. So let's dive right in. So the first thing that I want to tell you is about Socket.io and Docker. So I'll be using WebSockets and Docker. These two are the most important and these are the heart of the project. Without either of these, the project it's meaningless. So I'll be using Socket.io for handling the real-time interaction and the collaboration that happens within the room. For Docker, I'll be using it for running multiple languages. I'll come back to it in a while. First, let me show you the main room page. So this is what my room page is going to look like. There is going to be a chat area here, which is going to be handled by WebSocket. There is going to be a code editor. I'll be using Monaco or React Ace editor. And thirdly, there is going to be an output screen. The code outputs may require an executable file. That's why we'll be using the fs module of JavaScript for finding out the output. And this is going to be the cursor. I'm not sure about it, but I'll try to implement the real-time tracking of cursors of the various users inside the room. And this is the code editor area. So let me show you it in a proper manner. So this is going to be my code editor area. I'll have a drop down where the users can select any language of the choice. Like it's not at all required to have these installed within your local machine. I'll explain you why. And any interaction, any code update, or any literally anything happening inside this before execution, everything it's due to the WebSocket. Only the code execution will be done via Docker. So for WebSocket, most of you must be knowing that the normal in our normal Node.js application, there is a request and a response. But in Socket, we have something called as events. So basically, we'll be defining what each and every event does and how does it emit the response. So for the code editor part, we'll have something called as the language update event. This event is going to do nothing but show the real-time changes happening, and it will also help us in finding out who is making these changes, whether it's user A or user B. So without any refresh or reloading of the page, we can update the changes in real time. Well, that's the beauty of sockets. Now coming to the second event within the code editor, it's going to be the code update. Okay, sorry. Here we are going to update the language in the dropdown. So if user A selects C++, then C++ becomes the language which is going to be set across every user's interface. So that's what language update event does. The code update, as I explained, anyone who makes any changes or writes any code, it is going to get updated in everyone's code editor. That's what the code update is going to do. For cursor update, it's going to track the actual position of the cursor of each and every user so that we don't overwrite each other's code. Now coming to the most important part, that is the run code. So the run code will be the run code is going to be handled again by sockets. The output will be displayed in everyone's screen. Also, we'll be handling the code execution via Docker here. And lastly, this is the send message area. Well, it's nothing I need to talk about. It's quite simple. Basically, people talking within a room using sockets. So coming to the part where Docker comes into play. So in our website, Docker is like attaching the runtimes or the runtime engine of different languages so that the user does not have to, go and install it and like then what's the point of making this? So basically, we'll be defining 5 or 6 languages, uh, and users can choose any language of their choice, even if they may or may not have that language within their local systems. So that's going to be all. So it's basically Docker and Socket coming together to make this real-time code collaboration possible. So let's get started with the project. So I have mostly set up the basic environment that we require for making the backend. So you can have a look at all the packages and all the libraries that I'm using to design the backend code. So if you see that I have set up all the important stuff like Express, HTTP server and stuff. So this is the basic backend setup for our collaborative coding app. I'm using Express.js to handle the server and wrapping it up with HTTP and Socket.io so that we can handle real-time communication. Also, I have enabled CORS so that our front end that will be running in localhost 5173 can connect without issues, and also added some middlewares like JSON and cookie parser. We'll be using cookies in case we have time to implement login and sign up. Uh, so I have also connected it to a local database. And finally, I'm starting the server on port 5000. And this is basically the boilerplate foundation that we'll keep extending in the as we proceed in the video and keep on adding more features like chat and code execution and socket and stuff. So now that our basic boilerplate code has been set up, we'll start making the socket. So before starting with socket, let me tell you that there are two things basically which if somebody is starting out with a socket must know, that wherever I use something like io.on or io.emit or io.to, this means that this message has been broadcasted from the user to everyone in the room, including himself or herself. But when we use socket.to or socket.on or socket. Like anything, this means that a message has been broadcasted from the user to everyone in the room except for himself. It may sound a bit confusing, but when we use it and when we implement it in our project, I'm sure you will be much more clear. But for now, just keep this in mind that whenever we use IO, it means that something has been broadcasted to everyone in the room. But when we use something like socket dot something, it means that a message or information has been shared from one user to everyone, and this does not include the user. So, okay, uh, I think I have made much of it clear. So let's get started with setting up the socket. So the first event through which the user is going to join is going to be called as connection, and it's going to take in the socket, and we'll just console that uh, user has connected with the ID, and the ID is going to be socket.id. We'll be using this socket ID in quite a few places. So after the user has connected to the socket, the first event that he or she encounters is basically to join the room. So let's go on and define the join room event. So for that, we'll write socket.on and we'll call the event as join room, and it's going to take in the room ID, and it's going to, we need to join. So we'll write socket join room ID, and now the user has successfully joined the room. So we can write user having the, we'll be using backticks, user with socket ID has joined the room ID. So yeah, this is how a user joins the room. Now once he or she has joined the room, they'll be wanting to send a message to everyone that yeah, we have joined and we can start coding. So for that, we'll use socket.on, and we'll name the event as send message. Yes, and it will take in quite a few things. The first of which is room ID. Next, it will take in the user and the message, obviously. So now we'll be using IO because the user wants to broadcast the message to everyone in the room. And obviously, we don't send message to ourselves. We send it to everyone there in the room. That is why we are using IO and not socket. So now we'll write emit, and we'll call the receive message event, which is going to include the user and his message. So this is how the send message event is going to look like. Now that a few users have joined the room and they have sent messages to each other that yeah, we guys are ready to start code. So now the coding is going to begin. So first we'll need the event which is going to mark the the code updates or the real-time changes that people are making within the code. So let's make the code update event. So again, we'll write socket.on, and for now we'll name this event as code update, and this will also take in quite a few things, which includes the room ID, the user who has updated the code, and the code itself. So I need you guys to mark this thing that here we'll be using socket.to and not io.to because here whenever we are updating a code, I want it to get updated everywhere, not just for me. So that is why I'll be using socket.to, and I'll update it to my room, and I'll emit the event saying code update, and I'll, as we did before, it will include the user and the code. So this is how the coding begins. Now, if you want, if any of the user wants to change the language that they are using, they can use the language update. So again, we'll do the same old thing, socket.on, and we can name it as language update. Oops. Yes. And this event, as usual, is going to take in the room ID, the user, and the language. It's quite simple to work with sockets. So again, we'll use socket.to because we want to change the language in everybody's interface. So again, write the event room ID and emit the event language update. And this is going to include, as usual, the user and the language. So I guess our basic setup is done. Now it's going to be the most important part, that is the run code and the cursor update. So The cursor update, most of the things will be handling it in the front end. Basically, we'll be sending the coordinates, and somehow we'll be using some packages of stuff to track the cursor of each and every user. And coming to the run code event, we'll be making a separate function for run code where the users can select their language, and based on that, the FS module and some other complex things are there, which I also need to go through. Will be executed, will be processed, and finally we'll get the output of the code. So let's just make the basic function for cursor update. I'll just get it from the top, and yes, that's how we'll update the cursor positions. And coming to the most important part, that is the run code. So I will call this as the run code event, and since it has a large number of functions or large number of steps that it has to go through before moving on to the next, we'll make it a async function. And yeah, so this will also take in the room ID, the language, and the code. So it's pretty obvious. So for now, we must use a try catch block. There can be any error since the run code is going to be a large number of steps. So let's console the error. Okay, let's not console the error. We'll just emit the error. So it's going to be somewhat like this. I guess I'm not wrong. It's going to be code output. Yeah, that's correct. So let's define the output first. We'll call the run code function, which is going to include the language and the code. Looks fine. I guess I'm making a mistake somewhere. No, everything looks fine. So I'll just broadcast it to everyone within the room so that everybody can see the output. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And this is also going to include a few things, rather a single thing. That's the output. So that's how the run code event looks. And finally, we'll have our uh, ending. That is, whenever a user refreshes or leaves the room, he or she basically calls this disconnect event of socket. So this is the basic socket setup. Uh, I think it's quite simple and it won't be much difficult to understand. So in the next part, we'll be trying to understand and write the run code function, which we are going to uh, write and then test it using Docker. So now that our whole socket or the WebSocket setup is done, now we'll move on to the run code function. It's going to be an asynchronous function. Now, thing is, inside run code, there are basically what we are going to do is we'll take a if statement or a switch statement, and it will see that it will just look for the language, like if the user has selected C++, or if the user has selected Python, or if JavaScript. So based on the respective language, their respective commands are going to run. So for example, in C++, we'll be needing the G++. For JavaScript, the command will be node and then the file name. Similarly for Python as well as Java. So since there are a lot of commands and many more things to be taken care of, I don't know much about how all these things are going to happen. So it's better that I ask ChatGPT to implement the run code function for us, and then we'll see if it works properly in our code or not. So let's go. Where are you, ChatGPT? Yeah. So help me in writing the run code function which can run JavaScript, Python, and Java. Python, C++, and Java, and return me the whole code. I don't think it would be much of a challenge for ChatGPT to run this. So yeah, so that's what I was saying. We'll be needing this fs module, and there will be a switch statement which will take the language, and based on the language the respective command will be run, and this is going to be the one which will give us the output. Since you can see here that for every language there is a different way of installation, or there is a different way of writing commands and stuff, so it is like not possible for a user to uh, download all the modules and all the different files that are required for the setup of these different languages. So what we're going to do is, firstly we're going to copy and paste this code and see if it runs, and then we'll be using Docker, because then without Docker our website or our platform doesn't make uh, much of a like use case, because ultimately the user would have to download everything on his or her system. So what we are going to do is, we'll use Docker, we'll make a Docker file, and that is going to be the runtime engine for all the languages that we are using here. And for people watching this, you may add any other language like Go, Rust, it's totally up to you. I want to add these four languages. So let's copy this, and we can simply just paste it here. We'll paste it here as the run code function. There we go. So we finally have the run code function all set. So in the next part, we'll be using hopscotch, and we'll first check if all the sockets are running fine, and then we'll see if the run code function is going well. And after that, we'll get our hands dirty with Docker. So let's go. So let's go with testing of the WebSockets. So typically Postman does not support the testing of these socket things. So we'll be using a site called Hopscotch. I have previously, prepared all the APIs and the JSONs I required for testing. So yeah, we can start in Hopscotch. This is basically the interface. So first we need to select real time. Then we'll select socket IO, and we'll see where in which port we are running in. Yeah, we are using port 5000, and let's just connect. So as you can see, it has been connected successfully. So the first thing which you are going to test is uh, like joining a room. So uh, I guess our event was something like join room, and it would require a room ID, or I would suggest the room 123. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Clicking send. Okay, this works fine. A room has been joined. Now let's say we'll do send message, and for that I don't know exactly how the format should be. Let me just see. Send message, room ID, user, and message. Okay. So the room ID about, I don't know about the user. The message is going to be hello. Okay. Yes, we can do this. Let's see if this works. And yes, this works pretty well. Now the next part was update code. Yeah, this is what I guess this is the most uh, critical part. So first, let's update the code. Why am I changing my screen? So the event was update code. it was code update, I guess. And about the JSON, okay, we won't need so many things. All we need is the data. So let me just remove the upper part. Yeah, this much would be fine. So let's see. Okay, so the code update also happens perfectly. Now comes the run code part. So we'll be taking the room, the language, and the code. So let's see if this works. So it is run code, and the JSON format will be this. So let's put it here, and let's hope everything goes fine, and we'll click send. Yeah, so that works too. Just check. Yes, everything works fine in the terminal also. Great, that's really great. So now that we have tested all our sockets and we have tested that even the run code works fine, it's time for us to dive into Docker. So in the next part, I'll be making the Docker file, and then we'll make the image, and then finally run our backend on Docker. So the first step involving the whole Docker thing is to create a Docker file. So within our backend, we'll create a new Docker file. Yes. So basically, we'll be adding the things we'll be requiring for C++, Java, Python, and stuff. So uh, we'll start with from our base image will be node 18. Then we'll have to set our work directory, which is going to be /user /src/app. Now we need to copy the whole package.json. I guess that's how it's written. Yes. And then we'll need to run, the command is going to be npm install, so that the Docker container installs everything that is present in our package.json, and it causes no problem in finding the packages and stuff. So yeah, now that looks fine. Now there are going to be a few things we need to install, which is run. This is going to be for let's say C++/C++. Then another run command we need is for Python, another run for Java, and for JavaScript we may omit it because in browser we can run it by any means. Anyways, so coming to the last part, we'll copy everything, the .env. Sorry, it's going to be like copy, and then we need to expose our port, and we are currently running on expose. It will be 5000, and the command to run our backend is node, and this will be server.js. And this is the basic file. About this part, I have copied it and kept it. So the whole Docker file is going to be somewhat like this. You can see these commands. There is no need to remember this. You can easily get it from the internet. So this is how the whole Docker file is going to look. So now we'll be building the Docker image. So for that, let's first close this, and we'll first let's see about whether Docker is running fine or not. So let's first navigate to the backend directory. See, yeah, so Docker is running fine. We are currently in the proper location. We'll be now building our Docker. So the command is docker build -t. We can call it as anything like let's just call it backend, and it's currently in this directory. So let's go. The system cannot find the file specified. Okay, just enlarge it. Such a go. Okay, as exactly one argument. Uh, what do we do? We are currently in the backend directory, so I don't think there's anything wrong. Let's name it test. Well, no, let's name it uh, collab, and it's currently, and the Docker file is presently in my backend directory. So I guess it should work, and I have no idea what's going on. Let's see what's the issue. Okay, let's try to run this. I've been like using Docker for a long time. Let me just open my Docker desktop. Yeah, it does take a lot of time to open. Okay, so let's try this again. And yeah, it's building. It will take some time. So let me just explain you how this is going to exactly work. So basically, this is going to provide this Docker is going to provide some kind of some kind of a runtime engine, so that a user does not have to download the runtime environments and all other files in his or her local system again and again. So it basically eliminates the problem of it works only on my machine. Using Docker, the whole code, the whole everything is going to run in anybody's machine. So that is what uh, the Docker is like solving the problem here. So whenever there are package conflicts or whenever there are chances of version mismatch, we usually use Docker. So that along with the backend, we have a consistent backend runtime engine running in the background, so that the users do not have to complain about like, yeah, I don't have this version, or I don't have this runtime, or I don't have this language. So that's why we are using Docker here. So let's wait until it gets downloaded completely, and then we can run the Docker, and we'll like progress further in the project by running the Docker, by running the backend in the Docker. So my Docker build is now complete. The image has been built. Now let's run the Docker container. So we'll be mapping it to port 5000 of the container to the port 5000 of my laptop. So let's write the command accordingly. Docker run -d -5000 gets to 5000, and the name images collapse. So let's run it, and let me just check. Yes, so the container is running fine. Let's go in our Docker desktop. We have the collab here. Let's open it. And yeah, every command is running fine. Let's run it. Okay, looks fine to me. but why has it not yet connected to Mongo? So there has been some error. Basically, okay, so we are using the local host, the local Mongo driver. Uh, so I'm going to replace it with my Mongo cluster and let's see if it works fine or not. So I went to my env and I changed my env and now it is fine. Earlier I was using the by default localhost 27017. Now I have changed it to my cluster, my actual Mongo cluster, and now it runs exactly how it should. So yeah, we'll be keeping our backend running on this Docker container. And now it's time to move on to the front end part of the project, and we'll integrate it and see if everything works fine or not. So now that we are done with the basic part of the backend, let's move on to the front end and see if we can, make a basic front end and check if everything is working fine or not. So let's go to our front end folder, open app.jsx. So, okay, let me open it. So, oops, that's not open twice. Okay, so we'll do one thing. Obviously, we don't have the time to make the whole code. So let's just take the help of AI and make the basic outline. So make basic front end for this backend code. And uh, use React base editor for the code editor part. Let's see what response do we get. Okay, let's download this. Let's make another one. Okay, so okay, looks pretty much fine to me. Okay, that's good. But what about the room code? Like, how do I set the room ID? Anyways, let's just copy and paste it and see like what result do we get after JSX. Looks like there are no errors. Let's just refresh it. But I'm still in a doubt that how the hell did it join the room? And what the hell is this? Like, okay, let's just run it and see if it works. Using namespace std. I'm not wrong. It's cout and hello world. And run it. Let's run this and see. Okay, where is the output? Is anything even happening? Okay, it has been blocked by CORS policy. I don't know how. We did allow everything on our server.js. Let's just go and have another check. That's on localhost 5173 and we are running at localhost 5173. So where is the problem? Just refresh it. Okay. From has been blocked by CORS policy. The value of the why do I get the CORS error? Okay. Damn you, ChatGPT. It has to be 5173. Oh, we are using 5000, so it's kind of correct. What's wrong then? Hmm. Let's see if we have made something wrong in the backend code. My server address. Am I not using the same? Let me just copy this. So basically, I fixed that error. So basically, we were sending with credentials too. That is why we were getting a cause error. And nevertheless, we'll be making it from scratch by our own self because I don't want to rely on ChatGPT because like it cannot generate the whole thing. So I'll be starting with this. I'm using Vite in my front end. I have set up the routing and stuff, and I've installed all the required packages. You can have a look at the package.json just in case anybody wants to code it. I'll upload it in the GitHub. Anyways, so let's start making the home page. The home page is going to contain basically two things: the name of the user and a random room ID. So basically that room ID can be shared by the user to anyone who wants to join and start coding. So let's start. So first we'll be needing uh, room ID, set room ID, like this as you state. Next we'll be needing the username and set username, and this is also going to be use state and it's empty. So that would be it. We may need navigate. Let's define it beforehand. Basically, we'll be requiring navigate to navigate from this page to the room page. So now comes the first part. To get the room ID, we'll generate the room ID using math.random. So let's define the function. So we'll get const new room ID is equal to math random uh, string. We'll take it as 36, and then we'll take the substring from 2 to 10. And this is going to be our random room ID. And we'll set the room ID as the new room ID. So this is going to be our generate room ID function. So the now next thing will be, so the next function is going to be to join the room. Now that we have the room ID, we can join the room. So basically, we need two things. If we have the room ID, and we also need the username. Without either of them, it's going to be like you cannot enter because we need to display the name. So we'll be needing the username as well as the room ID. Let's fix this. Then we are going to like navigate it from this page to the room page. So Let's do that. Navigate it to slash room. Yes, it's going to be room ID. And the state is going to be, the state that we are going to carry forward is the username. And that's all. And if anything goes wrong, we can simply like call an alert message saying that "Hmm, please enter the username and room code." So we have made the functions. Now I'm not going to write the HTML. Just ask ChatGPT, please complete it. Hopefully I won't get a bad response. Looks all fine to me. Okay, great. Okay, we did not need so much of styling, but anyways, let's copy and paste it, and let's see how our page looks. Okay, that's fine. We can enter our room as we can enter our name and generate room, and then we can join the room. Okay, that's good. It works fine. Now let's move on to the room page where the real challenge begins, because there's a lot to code in this page. So I won't be like taking so much of time of the video and coding this whole page. Instead, I'll just take a skeleton code and I'll see you in a while. Uh, so I'm back with the proper and like a skeleton code of the room page. Uh, it's a pretty long code, but I'll go through the whole code. So these are basically nothing but the events that we created in the backend. These are basically emitting. This is for the join room. This is for the receive messages. So in the chat area, like basically we're using a spread operator and just adding the new messages. For the code update, we just see that if any changes has been made by the users, and if the username is equal to the current user, then we basically share the data to everyone. Then again with the language update, similarly with the code output, and same with the cursor update. So there's nothing very complex here. Uh, we are finding the current position of the cursor using the client X and the client Y thing, and yeah, that's how we'll be getting uh, the real time cursor movement. This is the basic HTML code. We are using the Ace editor and its inbuilt properties. And yeah, this is how the cursor is getting mapped. So this is all about the code. I'll be putting my GitHub link so anybody can go and you can just check out. It's not something very complex. So let me just open the website and see if the socket and the code editor, both of them work fine or not. So here we are. Let's enter the name uh, John, and let's generate room. This is going to be the room ID. We paste it here, and let's name it Alice. So let's join the room. Here again, we join the room. So we both have joined the room. Let's start with, okay, as you can see, the cursor tracker is working fine. So basically I can see where Alice is, and similarly Alice can see where John exactly is. So first let's see if we can chat with each other or not. Okay. And here in the editor area, as you can see, both the site gets updated. Uh, let's try. Okay, So our chat area works perfectly fine. Now let's see if we can basically run any language. I won't use JavaScript because it's quite obvious it's going to run. Let's try C++, something which I do not have on my computer. Okay, this is not looking quite good, but basically it's like keeping a track of who is currently the one typing. So we'll need to fix that anyways. So let's write our C++ code here and see if it's working. Okay, so the cursor tracking, basically Alice can see where John is. Now let me just see out. Hello, and let's run the code now. As you can see, we get the output even though I do not have C++ in my system. So that's where Docker comes into play. So basically, the Docker has whenever I run this backend, that Docker creates a kind of a compressed engine through which I can run any of the four languages which I have here, even though any of them might not be installed in my system. So basically, the collaboration is working fine. Code is getting executed, chat is happening, and the most important part was the cursor. You can check and find the code anytime. It's not so complex, but yeah, it did take a lot of time for me to implement this. So, like, how can we go back without revamping the UI? So let's see if we can add some really good design to this room page. Let me see if I can go to V0. I'm not sure if I have enough tokens left, but yeah, let's see. Okay, it's been long since I have used this. Let's open a new chat, paste the code, uh, meta order vibe to this page and make it look like the new Vim themed. Now let's see what response do I get. Well, vibe coding is fun. Let's see what output do we get. I kind of like the new Vim aesthetic a lot. And let's see if we can add something the cyberpunk themed which we use in our Google homepage. Let's wait and watch. So like I spent a lot of time in making and trying to rebuild the UI, and I think I found a great one. So like I haven't implemented it yet enough. This was our original UI, and then I thought of going through V0 and Lovable and Bolt. But trust me, the result that Bolt has given me is like super wow. It's just the exact feel I needed. It's like the Google homepage we created. The very like it has all that cyberpunk and that old school Linux Vim editor feel. So I'll be trying. I'll be trying to integrate it with my website, but uh, coming to the end of the video, this is what we have made. This is the final output of my personal code. Yeah, it does not have the styling, but I'll be adding it. But anyways, the code collaboration works completely fine. We have tried to implement it. We have seen that the collaboration is working fine, the code execution is working fine, as well as the chat messages are also working fine. So I'll be putting the hosted link and the GitHub link in the description below. So go and check out, and you may actually suggest me any changes or anything that I can add here to make it look better or make some new features, or I don't know. So this was just the starting point of using Socket. I'll be uploading more videos using WebSockets and Docker and stuffs like that. So that would be it. Good night. See you in the next one.